Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
She steps into the shower, closes the glass door behind her. Water rushes down, hissing against the tiles. I stay in the bedroom, perched on the edge of our bed, my hands dangling, my eyes catching on the glimmer of her wedding ring left on the dresser. She always takes it off before showering. Something about feeling free in that moment. I see the delicate band, and I can't decide if I'm angry or just hollow. I smell the faint trace of her shampoo mixing with steam that seeps under the door. Coconut? Or maybe vanilla. Lately my nose picks out everything. Every new scent. Every foreign note that doesn't belong. My head throbs. A flicker of memory stabs me. That damn musky cologne. The one I found weeks ago in the car. Thick, masculine, a heavy presence that lingered in the upholstery. And I remember how she claimed it was her niece's perfume, or some nonsense about needing a ride to the airport. Funny thing, the mind. It grips onto details even when the soul goes numb. I suppose I should talk about the day I found out. People always ask, did you have a clue? But that's the problem. Clues come in waves, scatter around, and you don't always want to piece them together. First, that small glass bottle stuck in the crevice between the seat and the floor mat. Then the swirling perfume that wasn't hers, definitely not mine. Then that look in her eyes whenever she came home late, the subtle tension in her shoulders. But it was the smell that clung to me like a parasite. Even when I vacuumed the car, I caught a whiff of it on the seatbelt, on the headrest. I have a nose for these things. Call it my curse. I'd spent years training myself to notice small details. My job as a numbers man encourages that, yet it never crossed my mind that the details would one day betray me. Took me a while to connect it to him. Tom, my teammate. He and I go way back to a city league soccer team, the kind of ragtag group of weekend athletes who share beers and bruises. Tom was our center back, big grin, bigger personality. People gravitated to him. He could knock a forward sideways on the field, then crack jokes so good that we'd all be rolling afterward. I called him Captain Chaos, ironically, because he thrived on spontaneity. And sure, he had this musky cologne. I remember it from the times we'd celebrate a big win at some local bar. He'd hug folks, pat shoulders, that scent always trailing behind him like a signature. Back then, it was just part of Tom's persona. But when it seeped into the front seat of my car, I didn't process it immediately. Blame my naivety. I told myself, it's not that. No way. But eventually, it all aligned. The night she came home with her hair undone, cheeks flushed, blouse half tucked. She said she'd been running errands. The moment I hugged her, that familiar trace of cologne, his cologne, wafted up between us. My body froze. I didn't say anything that night. I let it rattle in my chest, a dull roar in my ears. I kept quiet, brushed my teeth next to her, climbed into bed, stared at the ceiling. Maybe if I remained silent, I could pretend it away. Next day, I marched into a clinic and gave them my DNA sample, not to test for paternity. That was the insane part. It wasn't about the kid. My son, Jake, was definitely mine. Born 6 years ago, with my eyes and wry smirk. No, I needed to check if I was still alive, still human somehow. The simplest explanation is that I was looking for something, some weird confirmation that I existed. Does that make sense? Probably not. But I did it anyway. The moment that changed everything for me was that photograph. A snapshot from last summer. I'm in my old soccer t-shirt, sweat plastering it to my back, grinning alongside Tom as we hold up a trophy. There's a band of sunlight across our faces. We look confident, unstoppable. I keep that photo tucked in a drawer now, but that day it fell off the shelf. The glass cracked. I stared down at the fractured image. My grin turned sinister through the broken lines. Tom's grin, wide, toothy, the same grin he'd flash at barbecues, the same grin he probably offered my wife in the dark. I felt something coil tight in my gut. Rage? No, not at first. More like total disorientation. It was as if I looked at a stranger in that photo, somebody else's memory. That's how disconnected I felt from my own life. She's in the shower now, water pounding on the tiles. I guess she thinks I'm rummaging for fresh towels or heading to the kitchen for coffee. We haven't spoken more than a few words since last week, when I got the DNA test results. Negative. No matches. Silly, right? You do a test as though you're searching for some deep cosmic truth, and you end up with a piece of paper that says you're a big empty zero. It's a metaphor for my existence these days. But I hold it together with aggression masked as calm. I talk to her almost like a therapist might talk to a patient. My voice is measured, I ask questions, but there's a mocking undertone. Rachel, I said last night over dinner, tell me how that makes you feel, sneaking around with Tom. Was it thrilling? She flinched, dropped her fork. You're being cruel. Am I? Or am I just observing a phenomenon? Let's be honest, you needed something I wasn't giving you. Right? Her eyes flashed with anger, but she said nothing. Maybe she's learned that my words are laced with barbs. We'd been married 10 years. I used to think we were stable, that we had each other's backs. I made some jokes about her being the social butterfly, me the quiet observer. She used to brush her hair out of her eyes and say, I love that you're the steady one. She said it with a smile that reached her eyes. But people change. Time erodes the simple joys, and you don't always notice the cracks until they split wide open. The day I confronted her about Tom specifically, like with actual words, was the day I realized I couldn't keep playing dumb. That morning, we'd had a fight about finances. Stupid, typical. She complained that I was nitpicking her spending. I retorted something about respecting the household budget. But truly, I was itching to push her about the cologne, to see if she'd slip. She snapped at me, her voice climbing. If you weren't so controlling about every penny, I wouldn't feel suffocated. That's interesting, Rachel, I replied quietly. You feel suffocated at home, but you feel pretty free to go do whatever with Tom. Her face lost color. She took a step back like I'd slapped her. Where is this coming from? From the bottle in the car? From the smell on your clothes? From your constant lying about driving your niece to the airport? I'm not a fool. She parted her lips, then closed them. Her eyes darted to the side. Maybe she wanted to spin another excuse, but apparently realized the futility. Instead, she dropped into a kitchen chair, exhaling heavily. It was a mistake. I remember that wave of heat rising inside me. A mistake. Right. It didn't mean. Don't. I growled, my fists clenched on the table. I tried to relax my knuckles, but my nails kept digging into my palm. Don't you dare cheapen it. Don't you dare wrap it in pretty bows. You and Tom. You went behind my back. You lied. She stared at me with wide eyes. Probably she'd never seen me like this. I talk calmly, I do. But there's a threat beneath my words, a quiet storm. I've always prided myself on controlling my anger with a tight leash. But that day, my voice vibrated with pure venom. She sensed it. I told her to pack a bag and leave, just for the day. I said, I need space to think. She did, tears brimming in her eyes. But I didn't yield. At first, I considered revenge in typical ways. Humiliating her, telling everyone about the affair. But then I realized I wanted something deeper, more precise. If I was going to retaliate, I wanted to do it in a way that would carve the betrayal into her memory forever. I know that sounds sociopathic, but heartbreak warps your mind. I started fantasizing about exposing them both at some big event, like announcing it during a team barbecue or plastering photos on social media. But that seemed petty. I'm not a teenager. What I did instead was keep silent. I let things unravel on their own. And they did, spectacularly. Because a couple of weeks later, Tom fell ill. Some rare form of leukemia. The kind that can turn deadly fast if you don't find a donor match. Rachel was frantic. She called me in tears. I told her we were on a break, that I didn't want to see her or talk to her, But she left message after message. He's dying. He needs help. I listened to those voicemails with a strange calm. Interesting, I thought. Now you come to me. So I sat there in my car, letting her frantic words wash over me. If you can find it in your heart, please, she sobbed. He needs a transplant. The registry doesn't have a match yet. You might be one. I stared at the phone. Irony of the year, right? I go do a DNA test to see if I'm still alive, in some existential sense, and then I find out that her lover might literally die if I don't step in. And guess what? I was a match. The odds are slim, but maybe fate has a twisted sense of humor. He's in a hospital bed when I see him next. The same guy with the big grin and loud jokes. Only now he's pale, eyes sunken. I stand near the door, arms folded. Rachel's there, too, across the room, biting her lip. Man, buddy. Tom says, voice raspy, I'm sorry about all this. I never meant for. Don't. I cut him off. Save it. He swallows. The nurse behind me is watching, curious. Probably wonders what drama's playing out. I wanted to call you. Tom continues weakly. I should have done things differently. I approach the bed, stare down at him. If I wanted to, I could spit in his face. But I keep it clinical, like I'm analyzing a patient's emotional profile. You realize, I say, that this changes nothing. I'm only here because Rachel is having a breakdown and you're about to die. So let's talk about conditions. Conditions? He echoes. Rachel stands up, alarmed. Can we not? I hold up a finger to silence her. Yes. Conditions. I'm not your friend. You forfeited that. If I give you my cells, you disappear. Leave the city. No goodbyes, no money, no contact with her. You vanish. She gasps, tears gather in her eyes. This is cruel. I look at her with a twisted smile. Cruel would be letting him die. Then I turn to Tom. So, do you accept? He blinks, processing. I can see he's desperate. His health is declining, and time is short. Yes, he croaks, voice trembling. I accept. In that moment, I felt something settle inside me. A grim satisfaction. Not exactly triumph, but a sense that I'd found a razor-sharp punishment. Because living means he'll carry the guilt, the memory, the knowledge that he had to crawl to me to survive. And leaving town means he loses everything he thought he'd gained. The day of the procedure, I sign papers, go through tests. It's not an overly complicated process, but it isn't pleasant either. I feel the needle in my arm, the beep of machines. Rachel hovers in the hallway, pacing. I see her reflection in a glass panel as I'm wheeled back for sedation. She looks destroyed. Good. Let her feel that. Maybe you think I'm monstrous. But hey, betrayal rewires a man's empathy. Before, I might have comforted her. Now I see her tears as a side effect of her own decisions. I tell the nurse a few jokes. My voice is even, but my heart's pounding. Part of me is terrified. I'm hooking myself up to keep my wife's lover alive. That's insane, right? But maybe I want to confirm how powerful I can be. Or maybe I'm punishing myself too. Afterward, I'm groggy for a few days. Tom recovers slowly, but the transplant apparently takes hold. I don't visit him. I simply wait for updates. Rachel tries to approach me once in the hospital corridor. She touches my arm, eyes red-rimmed. Thank you, she whispers. I stare at her, my face blank. I didn't do it for you. Then I'd walk away, leaving her behind with that emptiness. Weeks pass. Tom leaves the city. True to his word, he packs up his life. The rumor is he moved in with a distant cousin in another state, though I don't ask for details. Good riddance. If I ever see him again, I'll probably just keep walking. He owes me a life debt, though I guess it's more complicated than that. Rachel tries to come home, tries to pretend we can fix this. I let her in the door, let her stand in the kitchen while I brew coffee. We don't talk about love or forgiveness. We talk about logistics, Bills, the mortgage, the groceries. The conversation is stilted. She occasionally attempts small talk. How was your day at work? And I respond with that mocking, calm tone. It was fine, darling. I only had to counsel 3 employees about budgets and 1 about stealing pens. How was your day dealing with heartbreak and regret? She flinches. Must you? Yes. I cut in. I must. Because you made me the punchline of some cosmic joke, and I'm not done processing. She says nothing else. Later, I hear her weeping in the guest bedroom. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling that same numbness creeping in. There's a moment I can't shake, no matter how hard I try. A scene that replays. It's the first time I truly caught them. I came home early from a conference. My flight got rerouted. I took a cab from the airport. I remember stepping onto the front porch, hearing muffled laughter inside. My heart picked up pace, a weird sense of foreboding. The door was unlocked. I walked in silently. The living room was empty, but the TV was on, volume low. I heard a rustle in the hallway, half-shut door. My breath caught. I approached, and there they were, Tom pressed against her, his hands on her waist. She was on her tiptoes, face turned up to his. My mind froze. I wanted to fling him across the room, break his jaw. But something in me said, wait. So I watched from that crack in the door, like a sick voyeur. She moaned softly. My entire body went hot. I noticed the arch of her back, the flush in her cheeks. He bent his head to her neck, whispered something. She giggled. That giggle tore me up inside. I wanted to shout, "That's my wife you're touching." But I stood there, silent, quivering with a combination of fury and heartbreak. When I finally stepped forward, they jolted. She gasped, eyes wild. Tom stammered, "Dude, I..." He tried to scramble away, but I blocked the doorway. My fists itched to swing. Instead, I just stared. I looked at Rachel, saw her parted lips, her hair messy around her shoulders, her shirt half unbuttoned. Then I looked at him, panic scrawled across his handsome face, and in that bizarre moment, I just stepped back and turned around. Didn't say a word. I walked out of the house, letting the door slam behind me. I spent the night in a motel. Not because I forgave them or needed to cool off, but because I was so enraged, I was scared of what I might do if I stayed. That scene replays in my head whenever I close my eyes. Now, though, she's in our house again. She sleeps in the guest room, tries to help me with chores, tries to ask about Jake. I let her. Our boy is with my sister for the week. We'd agreed to keep him out of this meltdown until we sort ourselves out. She walks around the place like a ghost, sometimes cooking dinner, sometimes just reading. One night, I watch her from the hallway while she folds laundry in the living room. She picks up my t-shirts, runs her fingers over them, then methodically folds them. A part of me wants to snap. Don't pretend we're normal. Another part of me wants to see if she'll break first. So I quietly slip upstairs, leaving her with that basket of clothes, leaving her in that void. But the image, her quietly folding my clothes, stays with me. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's regret. Because once upon a time, I loved her deeply. And she loved me, or so I believed. I start having these weird nightmares. In one, I'm on the soccer field, but the stands are empty. I hear chanting. See Tom in uniform on the other side. But my legs won't move. Rachel appears at the sideline, wearing my ring on a chain around her neck, but she's pointing at Tom. I can't hear her words, but I see her lips. Help him. Then Tom collapses. I rush over, but I can't reach him. My feet feel glued to the grass. I wake up, drenched in sweat, heart racing. My mind spins. I already helped him, saved his life. So why these dreams? Guilt? Or maybe my psyche is just unraveling. Because even though I gave him that conditional life, I'm still stuck with the aftermath. The victory tastes like ash. Day after day, I notice Rachel's eyes following me. She tries to talk, starts a sentence, then stops. One evening, I'm in the kitchen, rummaging for something to eat. She hovers near the fridge, arms crossed. "Can we talk?" she asks softly. I glance at her. "We can, but you won't like my answers." She rubs her wrist. Why did you do it? Why save him if you hate him so much?" I feel my jaw clench. "Why do you think?" She closes her eyes. "I don't know. I thought maybe you'd want him gone. Oh, believe me, I did. But I realized letting him die would just make you a tragic widow of an affair. You'd cry, but he'd be a martyr in your mind. Now he owes me. He's indebted. And you. You have to live with this arrangement." She exhales shakily. "You're punishing me." "Congratulations," I say flatly. "You've figured it out." She swallows, tears forming. "How long are we going to do this? What, share the same roof and pretend?" "No," she says. "How long are you going to hate me?" I stare at her. "Rachel, I don't hate you." Her eyes flicker with hope. "You don't. I don't feel much of anything." "That's worse, isn't it?" I watch her face crumble. Then I turn away, rummage in the pantry. End of conversation. Time slides by. I function like an automaton. Work, shower, maybe watch some late-night TV. Rachel's presence in the house grows heavier. We pass each other in the halls, in the kitchen. Sometimes I see her in the backyard, looking lost. One afternoon, I catch her standing by the soccer trophy case in the den, her fingers tracing the old team photo. That photo. The one with me and Tom. Sweaty and happy. I approach quietly. She doesn't even turn around. "He was always so confident," she murmurs. "And you were so stable. Do you remember that day?" "Yes," I say. "We just won the City League Finals." She tilts her head, gazing at my face in the photo. "You look so alive." I almost laugh, but it comes out like a snort. "Yeah. Well, that was before my wife decided to explore new horizons." She flinches. "Stop. I can't go back in time and undo it." "I know," I reply softly. "That's what kills me." Her shoulders slump. For a moment, I see all her guilt, her regret. She tries to speak, but I slip out of the room before she forms the words. One night, I come home late from a business function. She's in the kitchen with a glass of wine, standing by the sink. The overhead light casts shadows under her eyes. She looks exhausted, older than her 36 years. I step inside, close the door. She glances up. For a moment, we just stare at each other. Then she opens her mouth. I can't keep doing this. I drop my keys on the counter. Doing what? Breathing. She sets the wine glass down hard. Pretending there's hope, living with the constant tension. With your sarcasm, I deserve it, I know. But it's tearing me up inside. I shrug out of my jacket. And what do you propose? Divorce? You want me to pack your things again? Her mouth trembles. No. I want to talk about what happens next. About whether we have a future at all. Do we try counseling? Do we separate? What do you want? Ah, the million-dollar question. I feel a surge of bitterness. I might talk like a psychotherapist, but I sure as hell don't have the answers. I don't know who I am now, Rachel. You broke something in me. Part of me wants to keep punishing you. Part of me wants to set the whole house on fire. Another part just wants to forget and move on. She steps closer, tears in her eyes. I'll do whatever it takes. If you want me to leave, I will. If you want me to stay, I will. Her voice cracks. I still love you. I let out a harsh laugh. Love. The worst four-letter word. I move past her, open the fridge. My hand shakes slightly as I grab a bottle of water. The problem is, I'm not sure I even care. Her breath catches. So that's it. I twist the cap, take a swig, feel the cold water slide down my throat. You're the one who asked for a plan. I say in that measured, ironic tone. I propose we muddle through for a bit longer. We see if I can feel anything like love or forgiveness. And if I can't, we end it. She covers her mouth with her hand. I can see the silent sob. I close my eyes, and for a split second, pity flickers inside me. Then I smother it. Jake returns from my sister's. He's full of stories about the games they played, the places they visited. Rachel hugs him tight, kisses his cheek. I stand aside, arms folded. Our son looks from her to me, confused. "Dad, you okay?" he asks in that blimp child's way. "Sure," I tell him. "Just tired. Let's get you settled in." Later, Rachel tries to tuck him in for bed. I linger by the door. She's reading him a bedtime story, but her voice wavers. Jake notices. "Mom, you're crying." "Why?" She forces a smile. "It's just the story, sweetie. The princess is sad." He's not convinced, but he hugs her. I see tears streaming down her face, tears she tries to hide as she pulls the blanket up. The sight makes my chest tighten. I retreat to the living room, stand there with my fists at my sides, wishing I could punch a hole through time. Maybe if I had seen the warning signs earlier, if I'd been a different man, if she'd talked to me about her unhappiness. Maybe. But regrets are worthless. In the following weeks, I see a shift in her. She stops trying to tiptoe around me, stops avoiding confrontation. One evening, she corners me in the living room while Jake is asleep. "Mike," she says, "I have to ask. Do you want me gone? Because I'll leave if that's what you truly want. But if there's a chance, any chance, you can let me try to repair what I broke. I need to know." I sink into the armchair, feeling old, drained. "Repair how?" She tucks her hair behind her ear. "Counseling, therapy, date nights, giving you space when you need it, telling you everything. My phone calls, my schedule, whatever it takes to show you I'm not that person anymore." I rub my temples. "That's a lot of effort." She nods. "Yes, it is. I'm willing to do it. Are you?" My first impulse is to laugh, say something snarky. But the words catch in my throat. Because for all my anger, some part of me wonders if there's a path through this, or if I'm just masochistically clinging to the status quo. Finally, I speak. "I want to see if we can. But I'm not promising anything." She releases a shaky breath. "All I ask is a chance." We go to couples therapy. The first session is awkward. Me on one couch, Rachel on the other, the therapist sitting calmly between us. She's a middle-aged woman with a gentle voice, but a firm manner. She starts by asking us to describe the situation in general terms. Rachel can barely get words out before she dissolves into tears. I speak in a monotone, like I'm narrating a documentary about someone else's tragedy. At one point, the therapist looks at me. "Mike, you sound detached. Like you're observing from a distance." I shrug. "I feel detached." "Does that protect you from the pain?" she asks. I lock eyes with her. "It's the only way I don't burn everything down." Rachel sobs softly. "I know I hurt you. But I'm here. I'm trying to fix it." We talk in circles. The therapist tries to get me to open up about the depth of betrayal. I say a few things about trust, about how it's not just the act of sleeping with Tom. It's the secrecy, the lies, the disregard for our bond. The therapist nods. Rachel cries. I stay stoic. After we leave, Rachel asks if I want to continue these sessions. I answer with a shrug. We'll see. Meanwhile, Tom is gone, or so I hear. He texted me once. "Man, thank you for the second chance. I'll honor your condition." I'm sorry. I deleted it without replying. I hope he rots in whatever city he's holed up in. But some nights, I find myself recalling the day I visited him in the hospital. The despair in his eyes. The faint sense that maybe, under different circumstances, we'd still be friends. That thought unsettles me. I push it away. Rachel tries to earn my trust back. She's transparent about her whereabouts, calls me from the store to say she's running late. She invites me to coffee. She even tries to watch soccer with me on TV, though she was never a sports fan before. I see the effort. Sometimes I resent it. Sometimes I appreciate it. Mostly, I'm confused about who I am. We continue therapy. I attempt honesty. I liked controlling the situation when Tom was dying. It gave me a sense of power. And I realize that's probably not healthy. The therapist nods. That was your way of coping with deep hurt. You wanted to reassert your autonomy, to not feel like a victim. Rachel gazes at me, guilt flooding her face. I'm sorry, she whispers. I never wanted you to feel powerless. I suck in a breath. But that's exactly how I felt. Like I'd been robbed of dignity. So I found a way to flip it. I guess it made me monstrous. Therapist. It made you human. Mike. Humans do harsh things when they're hurt. The question is whether you want to remain in that space or find a healthier way forward. The line healthier way forward feels like a cliché, but maybe clichés exist for a reason. Months trickle by. I start to let her touch me. At first, it's a simple hand on my shoulder, a slight brush of fingers when she passes a plate at dinner. Each time, I tense up. But she's patient. One evening, after we put Jake to bed, she sits beside me on the couch, not too close. She offers to rub my shoulders. My muscles ache from tension, so eventually I say, "All right." Her hands are warm, gentle. I close my eyes, focusing on the sensation. A memory flickers, her moaning under Tom's touch. I jerk away. "Sorry, I can't," I mutter. She nods, tears in her eyes, but she understands. Jake's 7th birthday arrives. We throw him a small party. Some neighborhood kids come over. I watch Rachel helping with the decorations, her eyes lighting up for a moment. For those few hours, we look like a normal family again. Balloons, cake, children's laughter. Nobody sees the undercurrent of tension. Jake is beaming, opening gifts. Rachel kneels beside him, hugging him. I stand to the side. I feel a pang in my chest. This is what I fought for, isn't it? A stable home for my kid. Yet the cost is enormous. That night, after everyone leaves, I see Rachel crying quietly in the kitchen. "Are you okay?" I ask, surprising even myself by showing concern. She shakes her head. "I'm just grateful that we could give him a happy day." I almost say, "It doesn't mean we're okay." But I bite my tongue. Instead, I turn off the lights and head upstairs, leaving her in the dim glow. Therapy session number, who knows what. The therapist has us do an exercise. Rachel describes her perspective on the affair. She admits she felt invisible at home, that I was always working, always focusing on finances, never noticing her need for spontaneity or romance. "It doesn't justify what I did," she says. "I know it was wrong, but that's how it started." I sit there, arms folded, letting her words bounce off me. She's painting a picture in which she's neglected, emotionally starved. Maybe there's truth in that. But we all have choices. The therapist then asks me, "What do you need from Rachel to move forward?" I think for a long moment. I need unwavering honesty. No secrets, no little white lies, none of that. And I need to see she's committed. Really committed. How can she demonstrate that? The therapist pushes. I shift uncomfortably. I don't know. But I'll know it when I see it. Rachel wipes her eyes. "I'll do everything in my power to show you." It sounds so sincere, so earnest, that my chest tightens. I'm torn between wanting to believe her and wanting to keep punishing her. One evening, a letter arrives. It's from Tom's cousin, or so it says. She found my address among Tom's papers. The letter states, "Tom has recovered well, and he feels a deep gratitude and remorse. He didn't dare reach out to you again, but wanted me to let you know he's stable. There's more. He apologizes for the pain he caused you in hopes someday you might find peace." I stand in the living room, reading the letter in stunned silence. Rachel walks in, notices the envelope. "What's that?" I hand it to her. She reads it, her fingers trembling. When she finishes, she looks up. "He's gone for good." "Seems like it." I say, She hesitates. Are you relieved? I tilt my head, stare at the letter. I don't know. Part of me wanted to see him broken, desperate. But apparently, he's forging a new life. Maybe that's good. Maybe it helps me let go. She sets the letter on the coffee table. Let go, she echoes softly. I want that for you. For us. I swallow, the air thick in my lungs. I'm not there yet. She nods, tears brimming. I understand. Weeks turn into months again. The therapy continues. We keep living in the same house. Some days are better. We laugh at a silly movie. We share a quiet dinner. I sense something thawing inside me, albeit slowly. Other days, I catch a glimpse of her texting a friend. And paranoia flares. I snap. Who's that? She tells me calmly, it's Katie from work, and shows me the phone. Part of me hates that I'm so suspicious, but I can't help it. She never complains. She's accepted the scrutiny. She's patient. Sometimes she cries herself to sleep, but she doesn't fight me on it. Is this redemption or penance? I can't tell. One night, I decide to test the waters. We're watching TV in the living room, something mindless. Jake's asleep upstairs. She's curled at the far end of the couch, hugging a pillow. I shift closer, rest a hand on her knee. She meets my gaze, uncertain. I lean in, brush my lips against hers. My heart pounds. It's the first kiss we've shared in ages. She exhales shakily, kisses me back. It's tender, careful, like we're both afraid to break each other all over again. Then I pull away. She tries to read my expression. I swallow hard, stand up. Aim. Not sure. I mumble. I just wanted to see. She gives a small nod. Okay. There's no anger, no manipulation. Just acceptance. Therapy session after therapy session. We delve deeper. I talk about how worthless I felt, how angry, how I used the transplant to punish Tom. The therapist calls it a trauma response, a way to regain control. Rachel listens, tears sliding down her cheeks. One day, after we leave the session, she speaks quietly as we walk to the car. I wish I could change everything. I wish I could take your pain. Sometimes I think you'd be better off without me. I slip my hands into my pockets. Maybe. But I'm still here, aren't I? She looks at me with a question in her eyes. I don't elaborate, and we drive home in near silence. And then one afternoon, out of nowhere, everything erupts. I'm in the garage, rummaging for a hammer. The shelves are messy. There's stuff from old house projects. I find a half-empty paint can. My mind drifts. I recall painting the nursery for Jake. She was so excited back then, standing with a brush, a smudge of paint on her nose. My throat tightens. I slam the can down. Suddenly, she appears behind me. Need help? She asks quietly. I spin, frustration flaring. No, my voice is harsher than intended. She steps back. You keep shutting me out, she says, voice trembling. I'm doing all I can. I can't stand this limbo. Can you at least tell me what you want? I lose it. The months of tension, therapy, half-hearted attempts. I fling the hammer against the wall. It clatters to the floor with a loud clang. She jumps, eyes wide. What I want. I snap, my voice echoing in the cramped garage. I want to go back in time and make you faithful. I want to be the man who didn't get cheated on by his friend. I want to be the father who doesn't have to wonder if his son will someday find out. She's crying now. I know. I'm sorry. Stop saying you're sorry. I roar. It doesn't fix anything. You can't fix this. Don't you get it? She flinches, hugging her arms around herself. Then what do we do? Either I learn to live with it, or I don't. I growl. My eyes burn into hers. And if I can't, you'll have to leave. That's reality. She sinks to the floor, sobbing. I stand there, breathing heavily, rage crackling in my veins. I can't decide if I want to comfort her or walk away. In the end, I step out of the garage, leaving her with the smell of dust and old paint, A few days later, she approaches me again. This time, it's calmer. We're in the backyard, the sky an overcast gray. Our deck creaks underfoot. Jake's at a friend's house. She stands beside me, looking out at the fence. "I've been thinking," she says. "I know you might never forgive me. But I want you to know, I'm here because I want to fight for our marriage. For us. I can't make you stay, but I can show you that I'll never betray you again." I stare at the barren lawn. The wind ruffles my hair. I feel old, tired. But something in me stirs. "You're certain you won't run off with the next guy who flashes a grin?" She looks wounded but doesn't flinch. I deserve that. But no. I'm certain. Silence straightens over us. Finally, I speak softly. "I'm not sure how to be me anymore. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and I see a stranger." She inches closer, hesitantly rests a hand on my arm. "I miss you," she whispers. "I miss the man who smiled in that soccer photo. The man I married." I close my eyes. "He's gone." Her voice trembles. "Maybe he's still there, under the rubble." We continue therapy. We attend a couples retreat recommended by the therapist. I hate the cheesy group activities, the trust exercises, the forced vulnerability. But at some point, one of the counselors says something that hits me. Forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about not allowing the past to poison your future. That line loops in my brain, because I realize, in my quest to punish her and Tom, I've been poisoning myself. My nights are haunted. My days are filled with suspicion. I'm exhausted. Rachel tries everything. She writes me a letter describing her remorse, her love, her hopes for us. She insists on giving me all her phone passwords, telling me where she is at all times. It feels extreme, but I see the determination in her eyes. She's fighting for me in the only ways she knows how. I wonder if that's enough. I wonder if anything is enough. One evening, I find myself in the bedroom, rummaging through my closet. I come across that old soccer t-shirt, the one in the photo. It's faded, has a tear on the sleeve. I hold it up, recalling the day we won the city championship. I remember hugging Tom, Rachel cheering in the stands. Life felt so simple. We had the world at our feet. I stare at the shirt, then I notice a faint whiff of that old cologne from the battered hamper in the corner, like the ghost of a memory. My stomach churns, but instead of letting the anger rise, I slowly toss the shirt into a plastic bag. Maybe it's time to let go of certain relics. Jake asks me one day, "Dad, how come you and Mom don't laugh together much anymore?" Kids see everything, even if they can't articulate it perfectly. I force a smile, ruffle his hair. "We're just going through some adult stuff, buddy. We still love you very much. Will we go on a vacation together?" He asks. I pause. "We'll see, champ. Maybe." He nods, unconvinced, and goes off to play. I stand there, feeling a pang of guilt. All this drama. He's the innocent bystander. Am I letting my bitterness overshadow what matters most? And so, day by day, I test the waters of reconnection. I start small. I ask Rachel about her day at work. She lights up, tells me about her PR campaigns. I do my best to listen instead of rolling my eyes. We share a meal, watch a movie. Sometimes we even manage a faint smile at each other. At night, I still can't bring myself to sleep in the same bed. She's in the guest room. But after a late therapy session, I walk her upstairs, linger by her door. She looks at me with hopeful eyes. "Good night," I say softly. "Good night," she whispers. I turn away, but a part of me wants to step inside. Baby steps, I tell myself. I realize I've reached a crossroads. This limbo can't last forever. Either I find it in me to let her back into my life fully, or we part ways, because living in half shadows is draining us both. I think about Tom's letter from his cousin. The last line. He hopes you can someday find peace. Strange that it's coming from him. But maybe he's right. A final therapy session. The therapist turns to me. "Mike, Do you see a future with Rachel? I swallow hard. I look at Rachel, who's trembling with anticipation. I think. I pause, struggling. I think I want to try. Rachel releases a breath, tears shining in her eyes. The therapist nods approvingly. That's progress. But it'll take time, patience, and both of you must be willing. We leave the office. Outside, Rachel reaches for my hand. I let her take it. Our fingers interlace. It feels both familiar and foreign. She looks at me, tearful and smiling at once. I can't bring myself to fully smile back, but I manage a small nod. Over the next few weeks, we attempt real intimacy, emotionally first, then physically. The first time we try to make love again, I freeze up halfway through. My mind floods with images of her and Tom. She senses it, stops, holds me, lets me breathe. No pressure, no shame. That's how I know she's not the same woman who lied to me. She's trying to be what I need now. Eventually, we manage a gentle connection. Afterward, we lie in the dim light of the bedroom. She's curled against me, her head on my chest. I stroke her hair absently. My heart is pounding. She whispers, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." I close my eyes. A swirl of emotions rises. Anger, sadness, longing, a flicker of love. I want to say something profound, but all I manage is, "Okay." It's not a fairy tale. There are setbacks, arguments. One day I snap at her because I see a random phone number on her bill. She calmly explains it's a coworker. Another day, she feels devastated that I still haven't said, "I forgive you." We talk it through with the therapist, step by painful step. I wonder if we'll ever be the same. Probably not. Sometimes you can't go back to the innocence of before, but maybe we can build something new, something forged in the fires of betrayal and survival. Rachel tries to show me all the ways she's changed. She invests more time in us, in our family. She no longer hides her phone. She doesn't vanish for hours. She invites me along when she meets friends for coffee. She's diligent, consistent. Over time, I feel a grudging respect grow. She's willing to do the hard work. One evening, we watch the sunset on our back porch. Jake's inside playing a video game. Rachel and I sit quietly, side by side. The sky blazes orange and pink. She reaches out, places her hand on mine. "Thank you," she says gently, "for letting me try." I look at her. Lines of worry still crease her brow, but there's warmth in her eyes. Maybe there's still something left to salvage. I'm doing this because I hesitate, because I can't keep living in hate. It's killing me. And maybe I still love you in some twisted, complicated way. Her chin trembles. She leans her head on my shoulder. I let her. We sit there, the air growing cool, the sun dipping lower. In that moment, the anger inside me quiets, just a bit. Sometime later, on a random Tuesday, I get a letter in the mail about my DNA test from months ago. I'd forgotten about it. It reaffirms the same result. No additional data found. No matches in the database. It's just a cold piece of paper, but I stare at it, remembering why I did it. To confirm I was still alive. I toss it in the trash. I don't need a lab test to tell me whether I exist. I feel the weight of my existence every single day, in every breath of this messy aftermath. Jake's soccer practice. I stand by the fence, watching him chase the ball around the field. He waves at me, beaming. Rachel stands to my left, wearing a casual jacket. She catches my eye and gives a tentative smile. I nod. We stand there as parents, side by side, cheering for our boy. I recall the times I used to share that sideline with Tom, joking about drills, about weekend plans. A pang of betrayal hits me again, but it's muted now, like a scar that's mostly healed. Rachel edges closer. "He's looking better on the field, don't you think?" "Yeah," I say quietly, feeling the crisp breeze. "He's getting the hang of it." She slips her hand through my arm. At first, I stiffen, but then I let her hold me. We watch our son dribble, pass, shout in excitement. Life moves on. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about Tom. I wonder if he's truly grateful, or if he's out there living his usual carefree existence. Maybe he has regrets. Maybe not. But it doesn't matter. He's gone. My concerns now revolve around forging a path that doesn't revolve around revenge. Because ironically, giving him my bone marrow gave me the kind of power I craved. And I learned that power alone doesn't heal the cracks in my own heart. If anything, it deepened them. I'm still angry. I'm still wounded. But at least I'm not letting the anger rule me every second. I see Rachel trying. Sometimes we share quiet laughter. Sometimes we hold each other at night. Sometimes she glances over at me. "Do you need anything?" she asks. I consider the question. I think I have what I need right now. Her eyes shine, but she doesn't press further. We sit there in silence, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the occasional groan of the house's old pipes. My heart thuds in my chest, heavy but steady. I think back to the day she stood under that shower, steam curling around her body, while I sat on the bed, numb and drowning in suspicion. How far we've come from that shattered moment. And yet, how close it all feels, like I could slip right back into that darkness if I'm not careful. She sets her glass down, takes my hand in hers. Our fingers thread together. Slowly, I lift our joined hands to my lips and kiss her knuckles. I feel her breath catch. No words pass between us, but maybe words aren't needed right now. Outside, a car passes by, headlights sweeping across the walls in a brief arc. I exhale, letting my shoulders relax a fraction. Tomorrow will come with its own doubts, its own pains, but tonight, there's a sliver of hope. That's enough. For now, it has to be.